dropped, and it's showtime from downtown Winnipeg.
See the blast, moves back, scores! Shifley wires it, scores!
What a stop by Hellebuck!
Kyle Connor, Jets go bang, bang, bang!
Welcome to Ground Control, the official podcast of the Winnipeg Jets.
This is Ground Control episode 145. Ordinarily, it'd be myself, Jamie Thomas, with Mitchell Clinton and Paul Edmonds. But last week, I had the chance to catch up with Ed Olczyk, of course, a former Winnipeg Jet from the Jets 1.0 era, to talk about Timo Solani and Teppo Numminen, who were welcomed into the Winnipeg Jets Hall of Fame this week. And it was a great conversation. Paul, myself, and Mitch will be back next week for episode 146. In the meantime, please enjoy this conversation with Ed Olczyk.
Shop where the players shop. Jets Gear and TrueNorthShop.com are your authentic team stores. Make sure to stock up on all your favorite Winnipeg Jets and Manitoba Moose merchandise today. Visit one of the 5 Jets Gear locations or shop online at TrueNorthShop.com.
Hi, this is Cole Perfetti, and you're listening to Ground Control, the official podcast of the Winnipeg Jets.
Ground Control is the podcast. Ed Olczyk is our guest. It is Jets Hall of Fame week. In comes Timo Solani, Teppo Numminen.
Oh, I thought you were telling me that maybe it was...
Oh, I was going to induct you.
Oh, yeah.
But Craig Heisinger has a big role in these types of things.
Oh, I'm sure he does.
Yes.
I'm sure he does. If you want to know anything,
congratulations.
Let me just say that. First off, Jamie, it's nice to be with you. Congratulations to Repo and Salami. But I learned very quickly when I became a Winnipeg Jet on November 10th, 1990. By the way, we just celebrated that anniversary 32 years ago.
Okay.
That anything that it was, whether it was equipment or team-related or a trade on the horizon, there was one guy that knew, and that was Zinger. That was Zinger. So you're right. Anything that you need, you just need to go to one person because he seems to hold the key of Winnipeg Jets 1.0 and 2.0.
I apologize that you're not going in at this point. We'll get maybe another time. So a quick thought on each player.
Yeah.
Let's start with Teppo Numminen.
Yeah. Well, Repo was very consistent. He just very smooth, outstanding defensively, sneaky good offensively, an incredible teammate, a really funny guy. I mean, he was always enjoyed being around the Repo man, and I think very underrated. I think Jet fans realize, how awesome and great of a defenseman that he was. He wasn't overly physical, but he would angle you. If you thought you had options, you had really one option because he would angle you into a tough spot. But just a terrific all-around defenseman and very underrated. There's no doubt about it. And to me, like I said, he was a terrific teammate.
Timo Solani, short time in Winnipeg, but he made a hell of a mark, right? The 76 goal season, 132 points.
Yeah.
But there's more to him than that. What was he like as a teammate?
Yeah, I mean, I remember this like it was yesterday. His first game in the National Hockey League, and he didn't score. He could have had 3 or 4, and Salami was, a little down after the game or whatever, and I just kind of looked at him. I think we actually just got out of the shower or whatever, and I just said, hey, get your lip off the ground. You're going to be fine. You just knew. The guy would, he'd get up and go, and it'd just be that's not right. Like, the acceleration that he had, and then sure enough, I think he had 4 in the next 2 games or 3 games or whatever it was, and I ended up moving on, maybe a couple of months after that. So, maybe I would have stayed in Winnipeg a little longer if he would have slumped a little longer, but I saw the writing on the wall, and anytime I was around Timo, I always smiled, and the hockey speaks for itself. But just both those guys were just really fun teammates, and it's just amazing. I mean, when I left there, obviously I was watching what was going on, and next thing you know, he's at 30 and 40 and 50. I'm like, where in the hell? When's it going to stop? And
Mike Bossy was no slouch either with that record.
Please, yeah. I mean, Mike Bossy invented the 5-hole, and then Salami just goes flying right by him. But just an incredible first year, and the rest speaks for themselves. But congratulations to both guys. But just a couple of solid human beings, and just real proud to have, played with them, especially Repo for, a good stretch of time, and then obviously Salami for, just a short period of time.
You came back to Winnipeg and was, and then the final game as a Winnipeg Jet in 1996, the big speech afterwards. Was that organic, or were you thinking about saying that afterwards? And clearly you knew you were expected to play Game 7, but was that organic?
Well, yeah, I think if anybody knows me, I think that it's speak from the heart. And but look, it was hard. I always felt for the younger Jet fan of, what do you mean my team's leaving? What do you mean that the team's not going to be there? Or the team has a chance of leaving. I could never imagine as a young kid growing up in Chicago, Jamie, and thinking like, well, geez, the Cubs are leaving or the Blackhawks are leaving. It's devastating. Look, and I still have some very close friends in Winnipeg and talk to them all the time. And I've always thought that, Winnipeg was an NHL city, whether or not they had the Jets there or not. But it was emotional for everybody, and I think we wanted to let the team know, or let the city know that, in the province, is that this will always be your team, and I never ended up going with the team eventually to down to Arizona, but I think it was from the heart and very emotional, and still get people when I come back,
Is that brought up quite often?
Well, yeah, enough. Enough. Even when I travel throughout Canada and you get Jet fans everywhere. But I just, like I said, it was. I'd like to think that people know how genuine and my feelings have been and always will be for Winnipeg, because, like I said, I spent almost 6 years of my life there, and I had some of my best years and met some of my closest friends and relationships, because my family really enjoyed there, and we had a great time. So I'd like to think that it was very organic and was speaking from the heart.
Speaking of somebody that speaks from the heart, Mark Chipman speaks from the heart. What do you think of the job he's done in the organization, bridging the gap between 1.0 and 2.0? And do we even have to talk about 1.0 and 2.0 anymore?
Yeah, no, sure, there's a little bit of a lull there, but Mark's a terrific guy. I've known him for a long, long time, and leadership, shows his true colors, not when things are great, but when things are tough, and Mark is the perfect example of that, and obviously with the leadership and ownership of Mr. Thompson and the group, and I just have the utmost respect for Mark and for what he's been able to do in the community, and a very loyal guy, and just have had some great conversations with him over the years. So to me, it is one. The Winnipeg Jets are always be, as far as I'm concerned. Always be the Winnipeg Jets.
Okay, so let's move on to some fun stuff here. As you know this.
Well, are you saying it's fun? Or
it's going to be fun. It's like listening to the stories beforehand, the little small parts, snippets, as we call them in the broadcasting world. It was fun. So when you're with an organization long enough, you start to get to know the people, and then you start to realize the people you can go to for little stories about former members of the Winnipeg Jets. And Craig Heisinger, of course, is that guy.
Oh my gosh.
He is the source, I call him. He doesn't know that. I'll let him know later. So he told me 4 stories about you. So you didn't want me to. So you didn't want me to tell them ahead of time. Okay, here we go. Okay. Horse racing in Los Angeles.
Yeah. Okay. So we're on our way. We're on a road trip.
I love how you know exactly what this is.
We're on our way for a road trip, 10 or 12 days. And the day before, I went to the racetrack, Hollywood Park, which is now SoFi Stadium is built on old Hollywood Park. Me and Patty Ellenuk went to the racetrack, and I happened to invest, I think maybe about $85 or $90 Canadian, and turn that into about $10,000 US.
Okay.
And we were at the start.
Hell of a day.
Yeah, that was a very good day. And we were at the start of a road trip. So I didn't want to leave the money in my room. I didn't want to leave it in a locker when we're playing. So I called Zinger, and then Zinger comes over. He's waddling over. He's got his shorts on, his gym shoes. It's 1,000 below, and he's got shorts on. I go, hey, Zinger. He goes, hey, Head. Because when we go to Quebec, they would call me Head Olczyk.
Of course.
I'm like, okay, yeah, hey, Dinger. He goes, I said, I need a favor. He goes, yeah, what's that? I said, I need you to hold this. And I had a rubber band of, a few bucks in my pocket. So I gave it to him. He goes, yeah, you're good. You're good. Okay. So I gave it to him. So he held on to their practice. I went back to the hotel, pregame nap, went back for the game. And then during the game, we're playing LA at the old Forum. I come off the ice. I'm yelling, Zinger! Zinger! He comes running down. Head, what's the matter? I go, you got my money? And sure enough, Zinger had this big wad of right in his, I don't want to say he looked like he was happy to see me, but he had this big bulge in his shorts, and then he walked back, and he was walking back. He just pictured Zinger. He was just shaking his head. He was walking back, and he looked at me, and I just kind of winked at him. So yeah, that's a quick Cliff Notes version of the Hollywood Park story in L.A.
He claims that some of that money fell out of his pocket too. So
don't worry.
Was it all there when
was it all there? He got greased. Did he tell you he got greased?
I think so.
Okay, yeah, he better have.
All right. Apparently, you have a preference for heavier sticks. He said you complained a lot about that. So let's add on to that.
Well, I mean, I used the old Titan.
Yeah.
And
best street hockey stick ever.
Well, yeah. I mean, it was pretty good ice hockey stick too, by the way. I liked them. I had a certain way I liked my sticks, the thickness, the blade, and I always felt the heavier the better. I mean, I enjoyed them very much, and we'd go back, and Zinger would say, "You got a shipment of sticks in," and we'd go there, and I look at him, I go, "Nope, yep." And I said, Zinger, we got to find it. We got to find a new Paul Bunyan here, because whatever tree they're chopping down, man. I need to get to the inside of the tree. I don't want any of the branches that are on the outside. So he just shake his head again, and So yeah. So I was very particular, and I could grab it out of the bag, barehanded, and just know. In what it felt like and what I was going to be able to do with it. And of course, at the end of the day, when you don't score, it's the stick's fault. I mean, right?
And Zinger's fault too.
Yeah. Well, no, I never blame Zinger, but there were a few times there where I was on my way. There was one time I remember. I think we were playing Vancouver, and I missed like a wide open net. And I think Kirk McLean might have been in goal. I think that's who it was. And I came back to the bench. I'm shaking my head, and then Zinger just kind of taps me on the shoulder. And I'm like, what? He goes, give me your stick. I go, why? He goes, because you can't score with that one. And he gave me the other one. I'm like, all right, Dinger. And I got to tell the Zinger story. Yeah. The thing, like players have routines, like where we're coming onto the ice, getting ready to go, like 2 minutes before the game. You're in the locker room, everybody's getting ready. Coach is already in there, and guys are, I'd yell at Freddie. I yell at Freddie Olson and Thomas Steen. I go, Steiner, Stickner, let's go. And then Zinger would come in, Paul McDermott. Dermy would be in there, and Zinger would walk in every time with like 2 minutes left to go. He'd walk in the middle of the room, and he goes, Dermy? And then Dermy would go, yeah, Zinger. He goes, when you're hitting, you're one of the best, and when you're not, well... And then that would be it, and then he'd walk right out. So that was, like, here's again, he's the trainer, and he's coming in there telling Dermy what to do. So again, I go back to what I said. Yeah. If you needed to know or wanted to know what's going on with the Winnipeg Jets, there's one person to talk to. So that's my Dinger story. Besides him enjoying my wife's fudge. Yeah. And cookies, by the way.
Okay, that's another one.
And I did bring cookies from Chicago today to make sure they're delivered to Zinger back in Winnipeg at some point.
Okay, I'm going to sample on the way. He doesn't need to know that.
Need to know that, yeah.
2 more stories. Bars with soap. And I'm going to preface this in one. I know it sounds terrible the way I'm starting with this one, but apparently you don't like the liquid soap. You like the bar of soap.
Yeah,
You're a Zest guy.
Right.
Ivory Springs.
Well, right. I mean, that's what I was used to. And all of a sudden, they want to go on the cheap. Like what? I want to feel clean. I mean, that's like
you want the film.
It's like second hand there, the thing. So I mean, at the end of the day, I'm like, I need my bars of soap. Yeah. Come on, Zinger. Yeah. So we had my own little stash, and I think he might have went to like Rexall Drugs or something. I don't know wherever he went. And he ended up getting me like a nice stash. I said, here, Zinger, take some of that money I wanted to track and buy me like 100 bars there. So at least I have it there.
Yeah. So just telling everybody, there's a lot of yelling apparently about the bars of soap situation.
Look at the shower. I remember in the old room into Zinger's room back where the sewing machine was there. I mean, it probably was about 65 or 70 feet, and you just yell, Zinger! And he wouldn't even answer. He'd just walk in with the bar of soap. Because we had some cheap guys. Yeah. There's guaranteed there were some guys that took the bar of soap home. Yeah. That's all I'm going to say.
Are you going to name any names here?
No, I'm not going to sell anybody.
That's totally fair.
Zinger might.
That's why I'm learning this as we go here. And by the way, I had texted him before this conversation with you, and I said, hey, do you got any Ed Olczyk stories? And he phoned me, so that he just said, I can't tell you this via text.
Yeah.
The last story and the best one in my mind, you had a short stint in the International Hockey League.
Yeah.
Apparently you had a run-in with Jimmy Roy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
apparently you skated by the bench after Jimmy was running at you all night.
We had it.
So you tell the story.
I got sent down to Chicago. I think it was 98-ish, and I never played in the minors before. I was playing for the Chicago Wolves. They assigned me there, and then we came to Winnipeg. And I was like, I kind of was like, when I got to Winnipeg, it was almost like I came full circle. I'm like, holy cow, man, this is how it's going to end. I love playing here, and I'm going to end here by playing in the International League or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So we have a big scrum going on, and the Moose and the Wolves or whatever, and I'm in this pile, and it's really like the last place I ever wanted to be, But I'm in the middle of this pile, and all of a sudden this kid, Jimmy Roy or whatever his name is, he comes in, he grabs me from behind. Hey, old man, get the hell out of there! and he's kind of he's trying to ragdoll me, and I go, hey, buddy, look at. I'm not sure who you are or where you're from or what your first name is. That's what I tell him. I don't know what your first name is, but I just want to tell you something. I said, I don't want to be here as much as you want to be here, but at the end of the day, you better take your hands off because I know Zinger. I know who Zinger is.
So what did that mean when you said, I know Zinger?
Well, I think I got his attention. Okay. Because when I dropped the Zinger, you know what I mean? It's not like, I could buy you. I could buy you out of my contract. I could buy you out of your contract right now. But I just said, you know what? Hey, kid, I know Zinger. So if you like it here, just take your hands off of me. So that's what happened.
Were you given space afterwards after that?
I think he realized that that might have been one of my best lines I ever had in my hockey career.
That's really good.
Because I think he was like, oh, maybe I should not work this old man over because Zinger's going to get pissed off at me. So, and I think I don't think I told Zinger that later, but I think Zinger told me is that after the game or whatever that Jimmy Roy told him what happened, and I think Zinger was like, "Hey, just leave him alone. He's a nice guy. He did a lot for the city of Winnipeg. Okay." So Zinger helped me out a little bit, but that was the only thing I could think of because it was one of those, Jamie, where I'm in, like everybody's pushing and shoving. I'm sitting there. How in the hell did I get to the minors? You know what I mean? I've been in the league 14 years. I'm like, and then this kid is trying to. I'm like, hey, buddy. First off, take your hand off of me. Mm-hmm. I don't know who you are. I don't know what your first name is. But I know your general manager, and then I got his attention, and then he let me go.
I'd be scared too, in Jimmy's defense.
Yeah. So
have you talked to Jimmy about that?
I have not. No, I have not. I know Dinger has.
Yeah.
I know Dinger has.
Of course he has. Yeah, that goes without saying.
Right, exactly.
It would be crazy not to talk to you about one of your finest moments of your NHL career, '94 Stanley Cup with the New York Rangers. Kelly Moore told me to make sure I ask you about that. Just what does that mean? Even all these years later, and that moment, it's a long grind that people don't realize, but to get to that moment, especially in a city like New York, an original Six city.
You hadn't won in 54 years, I mean, it's why I played. Mm-hmm. I went to the conference finals my rookie year with Chicago in '85 against Edmonton. We lost 4-2 in the series, so I was 2 wins away in my rookie year to go to the Stanley Cup final. And it took me almost 10 years later and become a very small part of a team that won the Cup in New York in '94. So I think ultimately, Jamie, is that I didn't realize how hard it was to win until we actually did it. Mm-hmm. And the sacrifice, the commitment, the work, the passion, it takes all of it. And I'll be honest with you, it takes a little luck too. I mean, it does. It takes a bounce here, a bounce there. It takes a matchup against somebody. You got to stay healthy. So for me, no doubt in my professional career, that was as good as it got.
That's amazing. Honestly, I appreciate it. Zinger was right. He said 2 questions. You go on for 20 minutes. I've asked you about 10, and it's only 17. So he did exaggerate. And I know he does that every once in a while, but honestly, congratulations.
And by the way, he has consumed over the years. I'll say my wife, the lovely and talented Diana Olczyk, because Zinger was a big fudge guy. My wife makes unbelievable fudge.
Yeah. I
will say over the years, at least, whether I was playing in Winnipeg or I was a visitor or now as a broadcaster all these years or a coach, I'm going to say easily my wife has made Zinger over 100 pounds of fudge in his career. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
And that's love, by the way. Yeah. That's love.
He does speak very highly of you, by the way.
I love him. We love Zinger. We love him. My wife would always say, how does he wear those shorts all the time? Isn't he cold? I'm like, that's Zinger. I said, no. Zinger was, look at him. Look at how he's graduated over the years, And I said, well, it doesn't matter what his title is. As I started this, I'm going to end it.
Yeah.
whatever his title is or was or will be, he's always been the guy that knows what's going on. Always in Winnipeg.
That's it. Appreciate your time, my friend.
Danny, nice to see you.
This has been Ground Control, the official podcast of the Winnipeg Jets. For more Jets news, videos, and more, head to winnipegjets.com.